Somewhere along the way, Democrats became convinced they could win elections by denouncing voters as racist. The Andrew Gillum campaign just tried it in Florida. Remember, he was asked about the FBI probe. You're a racist for asking. Stacey Abrams' surrogates tried it also in Georgia. Did it work? No. It rarely works. Why would it work? Here's a bit of hard-earned knowledge from almost 30 years of covering campaigns. When you call voters immoral, they don't like it. And yet the left continues to throw out the racist slur, probably because they enjoy doing it. It makes them feel good about themselves. Here's ABC's coverage of the Gillum race last night. Watch this.
And I think for many progressives in places like Florida and Georgia, they'll be incredibly disappointed, and they'll be giving their white neighbors the hairy eyeball tomorrow, right?
In other words, ABC is telling us Andrew Gillum lost because of his skin color, and he lost because of the behavior of people of a certain skin color. ABC knows that. You hear things like this all the time, every day, and yet, curiously, nobody ever bothers to prove any of it or even try. Why? Because it's unprovable, and that's the appeal. Racism is now anything you don't like. A racist is anyone who's in your way. Hurling allegations of bigotry are, from the perspective of the left, the quickest way to get what you want. That's why they do it. It happened again today.
On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also saying
I don't know why you'd say that. That's such a racist
There
question.
are some people that say that now the Republican Party is seen as supporting white nationalists because of your rhetoric. What do you make of that?
I don't believe it. I don't know. Why do I have my highest poll numbers ever with African Americans? I love our country. I do. You have nationalists, you have globalists. I also love the world. And I don't mind helping the world, but we have to straighten out our country first.
Now, that happened at the president's briefing, so you may not even have seen it because you're living a real life and not glued to the internet. But trust me, if that had happened even just a few years ago, it would have been everywhere. It would have been international news. An accredited White House reporter calling the president of the United States a white supremacist? Holy smokes. But now it's just any other day on cable news. Nobody really believes that the reporter means it. It's posturing, and therefore it is boring. The claim, racist, is losing its power from overuse. Diminishing returns have been reached. If you've got a problem with nationalism, it might be better just to argue against nationalism. That way we might all learn something. In the meantime, Republicans should understand that Democrats call them bigots not because they believe they are bigots or even because they care if they are bigots. Al Sharpton and Louis Farrakhan are still allowed in the Democratic Party, after all. Democrats obviously aren't too concerned about bigotry, or they'd kick those guys out first step. Democrats say it, they make the charge because they hope it will bring them power, and power is what they want. It's all they want.
There is still a silent majority who responds to these racially coded as probably the most generous way you would describe it.
He won, and he won, unfortunately, with a message that was racially motivated, that was false about this invasion of migrants.
Stacey Abrams and Andrew Gillum both lost last night. So did Republican John James in Michigan. But for some reason, the left isn't scrambling to call Michigan voters racist for re-electing Debbie Stabenow. That's kind of funny. Christopher Harris is Executive Director of Unhyphenated America. He joins us today. Mr. Harris, thank you very much for coming on. I wonder if we've reached like peak hysteria on this question. This is my preferred outcome. And we can all kind of just agree that it's not really the issue most of the time. Sometimes it is, but mostly it's about economics, and we can debate those. Or are they going to continue doing this, do you think?
They're going to continue doing it. They're like a dog on a leash or a hamster on a wheel. This is what they know.
Yeah.
They only know how to do that. I mean, but they want to talk about some people being racist, but as you said, they don't want to talk about Michigan. How about, I have a friend of mine, Liz Mattori. She ran for the 2nd Congressional District in Maryland. She lost by 157,000 votes. So the question is to the people of Maryland, are you racist?
Right.
You didn't vote for a black female Republican, which she's actually first-generation American. How come those 157,000 people didn't vote for her? Are they sexist? See, this is what happens. If we're going to play this game, then let's play this game. Let's be consistent with it. They don't want to play the game because it doesn't work. It doesn't pass the smell test.
So then why should Republicans or conservatives play the game? I mean, when they're accused unfairly and it's transparently false and silly, of bigotry or being immoral, why don't they just laugh?
Well, that's the beauty of President Donald Trump, right? I mean, he's nowhere near racist, and I saw something recently said that he's post-racial, and I think that's probably the most accurate depiction of him. He's post-racial. He knows this is all bunk. He laughs it off, and that's what every Republican should do. Every congressional Republican, every Republican around the nation should learn that lesson. Don't take the dog whistle. They're going to call you racist. I said that on the show before. Every Republican has been called a racist. Why do you keep falling for it?
Well, I think for people who aren't in the public eye, I mean, there's a real threat. I mean, for one thing, you lose your job over it. People lose their jobs.
Yeah, definitely.
Screaming lunatics show up at your house and scare your children. I mean, there are real costs, but maybe we de-escalate by laughing in the face of absurdity.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's what I do all the time. I laugh at people, and especially when somebody tries to push it on me, I mean, I let them know that I don't feel 1 ounce of inferiority to anyone, and ultimately, that's what they're saying to people of color, black people, Hispanics, whatever like that. They're saying that we see you as inferior, and so we're the great white hope who's going to come out there and protect you, but I don't need you to protect me. I can protect myself. I don't need you to I don't need any special privileges. I have the Constitution. How about we just stand up to the Constitution? That's all we're really asking for.
Doesn't that, I mean, this is a long conversation, but doesn't it drive you crazy?
Absolutely. And my wife has to hear me kind of rant about things on occasion. God bless her for putting up with me on that. But yeah, it drives me crazy.
It would drive me crazy too.